Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please enter your host PIN. When finished, press the pound key.
To start your show now, press 1. To hear important...
Your show is scheduled to start in 1 minute, 14 seconds.
Okay, real quick. Test, can everybody hear me? Is it loud? Is it clear? Before we get started.
Seconds until showtime.
Mic test, mic test. Can y'all hear me? Y'all brothers and sisters hear me loud and clearly? All right. If there's any problem with the sound, just let me know in the chat. We should be good to go.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
The Most High is going to stop the flowing of the people going into that country. Read.
Jeremiah chapter 51, the end of verse 44. Yea, the wall of Babylon shall fall. Verse 45. My people, go ye out of the midst.
Hold up, read that again.
My people, go ye out of the midst.
I think within this chapter, he said to flee and get out of her around 3-4 times. Right? Read.
My people, go ye out of the midst of her, and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Most High Ahiah. And let your heart faint, and ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. A rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that in another year shall come a rumor. And
wars and rumors of wars. You hearing about it, and because it's not happening, you think it's not going to happen. Read.
Verse 46, end of verse 46. And violence in the land, ruler against ruler. Verse 47. Therefore, behold, the days come that I will do judgment upon the graven images of Babylon, and her whole land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her. Then the heaven and the earth, and all that is therein, shall sing for Babylon, for the spoiler shall come unto her from the north, saith the Most High Ahiah. As Babylon hath caused the slain of Israel to fall, so as Babylon shall fall the slain of all the earth. Ye that have escaped the sword, go away, stand not still. Remember the Most High Ahiah afar off, and let Jerusalem come into your mind.
Listen to this clear. Ye that have escaped the sword, that means you escape the destruction that's coming to Babylon, go away and stand not still. So when you leave, remember the power or the God, Ahiah, afar off, and let Jerusalem come into your mind. That's looking forward, not looking back. Now let Jerusalem come into your mind. She's finished. Right? Read.
Verse 51. We are confounded, because we have heard reproach. Shame has covered our faces, for strangers are coming to the sanctuary of the Lord's house.
Strangers have destroyed us. Strangers have destroyed our sanctuary, our belief. They destroyed our understanding so that we cannot connect to our God. They've given us their gods. Baal, Baal, Satan, the dragon, Moloch. These are the gods we've been worshiping ignorantly. Jesus, Zeus. Okay, we ain't know nobody named Jesus. Total madness. And then when we wake up and understand these things, we say, well, hold up. I'm a stranger here. You dragged me here. And the Most High starts reviving us. They be like, okay, we have one who's the extremist, you're a terrorist. Read on.
Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 52. Wherefore, behold, the days come, saith the Most High Ahia, that I will do judgment upon her graven images.
It's going to destroy all your images and your idols. And man, if you even look at Washington, D.C., it's idol after idol, monuments of idols, obelisks, which is man's personal member. That's what an obelisk is. What's that, the Washington Monument? Idols every place. 5-pointed stars every place. But what if some did not believe? So what if you don't believe what we're teaching you? Paul asked, so what if some did not believe? Shall your unbelief make the faith of God without effect? You mean the Most High is going to stop his whole program because you don't believe them? No, you're dead. That's what you are. Okay? His program was before us. And it will be well after us. And that's for the people that's walking out there. There's wars all the time. There've always been these situations. Every few years this happens. Nothing is going to change. That's a dead man.
Who is higher than a higher? I would feel decapitated if it wasn't for Yeshaya. Christ at the head, I just want to be the leg. Dying to myself, so I be running off the ledge. Who am I but suicide? Only through his blood and his love shall I feel alive. Scales lifted from my eyes, living in the life. Vomit tastes like pie. Why? Kissing the old me goodbye. African American, this is not our land. That's the people that we never been. Truth help me figure out I am no more nigga now. Spit it out, gotta scream and shout this from the mountaintop. Dig that. Truth the mix of the scripture to pick the pictures. Talmud always puts me in a foul mood. No ish talk time mood. So Shema Yasha Allah, we don't deal with that Kabbalah. Kwam Yasha Allah, Kwam Yasha Allah. Kwam Yasha Allah, Kwam Yasha Allah. Rise, O Israel, return to the Father. This is the beginning of a saga. You dig that? Kwam Yasha Allah, Kwam Yasha Allah. Kwam Yasha Allah, Kwam Yasha Allah. Rise, O Israel, return to the Father. This is the beginning of a saga. You dig that? Just waking up, then I realize I gotta wash my face. I got these boogers in my eyes. Dip me in the water, alter my perception. Whole new world, so I got a lot of questions. Time's running short, no time for half stepping. Thoroughly inspected, checking for deception. Gotta get it straight, lot on my plate. Satan's concentration is only perpetration. Spirit of the truth, ripped it from the root up. Watch the Most High chop it up like a fruit cup. Then put it on ice like a cool cup. Minus the glycerin, and this would not be televised. A higher Bahasham Yeshaya still be magnified. And if they told you otherwise, then they prophesy. Straight dying to myself like a homicide. Going to Jacob's trouble with the Holy One inside. Kwam Yasha Allah, Kwam Yasha Allah. Kwam Yasha Allah, Kwam Yasha Allah. Rise, O Israel, return to the Father. This is the beginning of a saga. You dig that? Kwam Yasha Allah, Kwam Yasha Allah. Kwam Yasha Allah, Kwam Yasha Allah. Rise, O Israel, return to the Father. This is the beginning of a saga. You dig that? Stop. Now Shabbat Shalom. 17 AD, we ran from Rome into Africa from our home. Got enslaved by America, now it's on. Or should I say, all heritage is gone? Cause of disobedience, we was wrong. The curse lifting off us took a turn back back home. Now we running back to him, gotta get back to it. Discovered our history. Forefathers, nobility. King James the 6th in the verse, you ain't feeling me. Taking it back, though, substituted for arrogance. This is what they fail to tell you, this is where they negligent. No pressure, make a wise man, so why you settling? Downtrodden mind, ready, set, never go, though. The best slave to have is the one that think he's free, though. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free, though. Lie, shrivel up to it, speedo. You can't go against Christ, Devo. Christ brought us back to the Father, Devo. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Shabbat Shalom, Barakatham Matawada. Peaceful Sabbath, bless you all. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Friday Night Sabbath coming out of Babylon, here for the Gathering of Christ Church. I'm your host, Brother and Elder Ramar Karab. It is 7:09 p.m. Central Standard Time. We have May 31st, 2019 is the date. We are streaming to you live from Babylon. Hope you brothers and sisters out there are doing well as we are going into the 7th day of the week, Sabbath. And I want to first give all praises to the Most High in the name of His Son Christ Yeshua for being able to witness, partake in another Sabbath and holy day. Also, to have the opportunity to be here before you brothers and sisters for Blog Talk and YouTube, simultaneously streaming on the Friday Night Sabbath podcast. And tonight, wasn't really going to do a broadcast, but I know a lot of brothers and sisters look forward to this particular show that we do. So I wanted to make sure that I at least came on and opened up for a general discussion. If anybody has any questions or any news that they may want to share as far as what's going on right now. It's been a very busy week on my end. Haven't really had a chance to really even check into the news like I normally do because work has been very busy. And, you know, nothing across my radar has shown to be really just major news. Of course, there's always stuff going on, but, you know, just major headline news, major things going on that we have to speak about. So it kind of opens the door for general discussion tonight. I'd love to hear from you brothers and sisters. So real quick, before we actually go into some things here, I want to just let everybody know the different ways that you can listen into this broadcast. We are streaming live from YouTube. We are streaming from the GOCC Texas YouTube channel. So you can simply go to YouTube in your search box. You can type in GOCC Texas. That'll take you to the live stream where you can actually interact with us visually. As we go through information, sometimes I like to bring up things on my screen, videos, links, pictures, etc., to make it a more visually enhanced experience for those who are viewing. Also, the direct link is www.youtube.com/user/GOCC Texas, no spaces. The G and the T are capitalized, so that's GOCC Texas. Also, if you would like to call in, listen through your telephone, if you have something you would like to say, the guest calling number is 515-605-9327. And at any time you can press the number 1, we'll bring you into the call queue. We really don't have a segment 2 tonight. As far as usually segment 2, we open it up for the calls for anybody who has something they'd like to say. Tonight is just open discussion, freestyling, as you may say. So anytime if you would like to speak, chime in, share your thoughts on different topics that's going on, news, current events, Bible prophecy. Maybe you have some questions that you would like to get some understanding on. That's more so what this show tonight is set up for. Only looking to be on here for about an hour or two. I also wanted to share with brothers and sisters the different ways in which I where I get my news at. I'm just wanted to go through some of the different locations where, when it comes to the news, I share with y'all, some of the places where I get my articles from. And we can kind of go through some of those article headlines together as we're scrolling through them. And so, we hopefully look to fill an hour or two of broadcast tonight by the time we finish doing all those things, going through any questions or hearing anybody speak who has something to say. And also we have the YouTube chat for those who also may have a lot to say that are viewing through YouTube. Definitely checking out the chat board and the message board to see what is on people's minds. Okay, real quick, brothers and sisters, just so that we can get the word out to everybody that may have opportunity to check out this broadcast. Make sure that you're sharing this through your social media platforms. You have, whether it be Facebook or Twitter, etc. You have email. Just get the word out. You can click the like at the bottom of this video. There should be a like button. The like will actually help spread the word too, because there are a lot of people out there that are searching for truth. A lot of people may be searching for a church home, these type of things. So we like to get the word out to as many people as we can. We know the scripture tells us that this gospel shall be taught to the ends of the earth, and then the end shall come. It should be taught to the whole world, and then the end will come. Okay, so let's see here. Just kind of getting some things finalized before we actually start things off. One moment. All right, so brothers and sisters, those who are on YouTube or Blog Talk, what's on y'all's minds tonight? What's going on in y'all's neck of the woods? What's been going on through your weeks, this past week? Any prophecy, any news, anything that has your attention, anything that's on your mind. Let me know before we proceed. Okay, looks like we have a caller from the 701 area code that may have something they'd like to say. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the Blog Talk call lines and see if this individual has a question or a comment. Also, if you're calling in through Blog Talk and you do have your YouTube going, make sure that you put your YouTube on mute, or else it will cause feedback if you're listening to both whenever I go to your call, just so we can keep all the commotion down. So let me go ahead and go to the 701 area code. 701 area code, Shabbat Shalom, you're on the air. (701) area code. Last four digits 7720.
Yes, I'm on the bus. I should be off in about 2 minutes. I'll call back. I was hoping to be off before my call, so I call back about 2 minutes.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll just bring you back in about 5 minutes, all right?
That'll be fine. Shalom.
Okay. Okay, looks like Don 628 says Chicago news still pushing the measles outbreak propaganda. Okay, I wasn't aware that was something that was being pushed in Chicago. I did know about the New York agenda, and they are pushing it, deeply in New York and on the East Coast, but I wasn't familiar with Chicago. So I'd like to hear more about that. What all they're saying. What are they talking about? Are they looking to try to push mandatory vaccinations? Would love to hear some more when it comes to that. Dawada Yasharala said, what's the name of that song? The name of that song is Kwam Yasharala, the one that was played at the beginning of the broadcast. Kwam Yasharala. Let's see, what else do we have here? So, we have people, representing their locations. We have Tahar. I see you, holding down Dallas. We have Kim Wiggins from Atlanta. Shabbat Shalom, Kim. Atlanta in the house. Of course, Don 628, Chicago in the building. Who else we got in here? What other cities? What other churches we got? Okay, so it looks like in Chicago they're predicting a major outbreak to come when it comes to vaccination. So that's part of their predictive programming. They put these stories out early so they can plant seeds in the minds of people that when they bring forth their solution, everybody has already programmed in their mind, well, this is what must happen as far as mandatory vaccinations. Because I do remember that story that they brought forth saying, whatever it was they said, measles strain had evolved or mutated, and now the vaccination or the medicine can't fight it. So, it's just so you're already ready for whatever they're about to bring. So they always run these stories early. The reason why when Ebola came out, Ebola, they were pushing the Ebola thing for, I can't remember when they first really pushed that hard, but they bring it out, then they kind of take it away, they kind of keep it in the news here and there. I have seen some Ebola news here lately, just kind of keeping it relevant so it stays in people's minds and keep watering that seed. So when the time comes and they can say, okay, mandatory vaccinations or you're going to be quarantined, which is basically medical martial law. If you're not going to take the vaccinations, we're going to have to quarantine you. Let's see here. Ezekiel of Judah says, yes, measles outbreak being in school. They think I'm crazy for not being in agreement. Right, that's what they want to go first, is for the children. And they try to get you in fear by saying, if you don't get your children vaccinated, they can't come to school. Which really is not a bad thing. That's really, it can be bad as far as if you don't have the ability to homeschool your child, but in some situations, hey, that's what's needed is homeschool, so it could be a blessing in disguise. We have Sean Roseman, Vegas. Josh Franklin, Austin, Texas. Exactly. Don says, what happened to Zika? Exactly. What happened to Zika? Right? What happened to Ebola? I thought Ebola was the most deadly disease that they've ever come across. It was, no cure for it, and it was, highly fatal. And as soon as it came, it disappeared. So according to their story, as far as what Ebola should have did, is that as soon as the first case happened in America, however many years, 5 or 6 years ago when it first happened, that should have basically wiped out all the American population, but it came and went. So, I don't know what to tell people at this point who can't see the forest through the trees when it comes to these things, that it's total propaganda, it's total fear, total mind control. Yehoshua says, reminds me of how they relocated Gad to the reservations away from good soil and dumped mandatory vaccines on them. Yeah, and don't forget with Gad, they put the smallpox on them when they first came over. They had put the smallpox in the blankets and gave them to Gad, and so it's been biological warfare against the children of Israel for a very long time. Let's see here, what else we got? Exactly. Norma Brookins says they wouldn't have an outbreak if they weren't shooting the diseases into the children. Exactly. The disease is in the vaccination. So if I don't have the disease, why would you give it to me? Why would you give me something I don't have? And attempt to say that giving it to you will keep you from getting it or it becoming fatal should you get it. Well, it sounds to me like you just gave it to me and it's fatal based upon the vaccine damage we're seeing in some of these lab tests and these studies. Them Z Riggs 08 says actually Ebola is back in the Congo right now. Yes, I have seen Ebola popping up back in the news here and there. They keep it, you know, relevant. Like, you know, they let it die down a little bit, then they'll bring a news story back in and say, oh, you know, Ebola is on the rise and it's devastating a particular area right now, and then it'll go away, and then it'll pop back up in another place and say the same thing. So they're just keeping it relevant. But if this was actually the case, then trust, we would see, you know, thousands and millions of people dying, and that's just, we don't see that happening. Jennifer Perez says Atlanta and Missouri currently are testing hospitals in the event of brought-on disease outbreak. So Don says that now Chicago has a lesbian mayor. I think I've seen that. I think I've seen it. Let me go back to the call line here. See if the sister is off the bus and able to speak. I want to try to bring her back in. Sister from the 701 area code, are you in a place where you can speak now? Would you like to speak?
Not just yet. I'll just call back. I'll keep listening to the show, and I'll just call back.
Okay, I don't see.
If that's okay.
Yeah, I don't see you in the call queue as far as the asterisk by your number. So just whenever you're ready, press the number 1. I'll see it and I'll bring you in. All right.
Shalom, shalom. I'm listening though.
Okay, all right, no problem. Shalom. Okay, and again, anybody else they would like to speak? Definitely, you can press the number 1. Okay, sister from the 701. Okay, there you go. All right. Yeah, so just whenever you're ready, just press 1 and we'll bring you in. Okay. Yeah, I've seen a lot of E. coli outbreaks, Sean Roseman. I've been paying close attention to that, these E. coli outbreaks. And basically what that's telling me is that when it comes to the food, they're causing a famine. Because if there's an E. coli outbreak with food, then you can't eat it. And they put E. coli outbreak on all these different types of food, then now there's a famine. And one thing I noticed, and I was laughing when I thought about it, you notice how you never seen like an E. coli outbreak when it comes to like swine? Like all the E. coli outbreaks always stuff that is like good food, like kale or what's the other lettuce? I know you've seen like turkey E. coli outbreaks, and it's always like food that's like lawful, clean food or healthy food that's always these outbreaks, these E. coli outbreaks. Never anything abominable. So therefore, if they take away all the clean food for you to eat by saying it's infected with E. coli, but all the unclean food is left. In 2 Corinthians 16, it talks about us being idle, eating things sacrificed to idols. So when I see these things, it's some of the thoughts and scriptures that come to my mind. Seek Christ at Home says, Madison, Wisconsin police doing outbreak training. That's interesting. Outbreak training. So you brothers and sisters continue to keep posting in the chat different things. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with y'all. And one of the websites that I use probably the most is activistpost.com. And what I will say is that, brothers and sisters, the reason why it's very important to understand the Bible and have sound doctrine is that even though a website like this may put forth an alternative version of the news, not that people that are authors or writers, reporters on this website, not that they're intentionally misleading people, but understand the walk of life they come from. They may not believe in the Bible. They may be atheists. They may believe in a different religion. They may believe in the Bible but not have sound doctrine. So if you're not careful going into some of these articles, they could bring forth their biasness according to their viewpoints, and you could be misled in that manner. So it's important to know the Bible, because knowing the Bible gives you clear vision when it comes to prophecy, keeping these commandments. Scripture says that you attain wisdom, those that keep the commandments and the law of the Most High. So those things will allow you to be able to disseminate between the information as you read it when you're going through different articles. Okay, so here's just some of the articles this week that have been posted on this website. Okay, street level surveillance, top 4 ways they're spying on you. Okay, we know about the surveillance agenda, and we talked about 5G. We're going to look to maybe do part 2 of 5G next broadcast. It'll be the Most High's will, but part of the surveillance is going to be tied to the 5G, because they're going to need the speed to be able to monitor people in real time, what they're doing, facial recognition, your phones being connected to the 5G, being surveilled through your phone, whether it's the microphone on the phone, the apps on the phone, the camera on the phone. Okay. UN torture report. Demonized Assange has faced psychological torture. So again, in the past I spoke about Julian Assange being a CIA agent. Okay, he's an actor. But what this does tell us, it tells us that those who are for the truth, we know this because the Bible tells us too, in these last days are going to be demonized and tortured. So that's what this is giving us, a insight to a shadow of things to come. PBS airs 2 segments on cell phone and Wi-Fi radiation. Exposure risk. What does this mean for PBS's Sesame Street character Smarty the Smartphone? I believe it was last broadcast we talked about the different poisons that come, and about the poisons that are coming through the frequencies of our devices. And we'll get more into that in 5G as well when we talk about the dangers of 5G. But that is interesting. They have a character on PBS, Smarty the Smartphone. Right, this is one of PBS's Sesame Street characters, but yet they're also airing segments on the dangers and the risk of being exposed to smartphones, amongst other things. So wouldn't that be a contradiction to be saying 2 different things on your broadcast? Not necessarily on the same program, but still within the same channel. It says here, exploding smartphone causes injury inside moving car with pro basketball player and friends. So that's interesting. The smartphone exploded in a car. Technology is becoming indistinguishable from reality. So we're coming into a time when the technology is merging with our reality. They're making people into cyborgs. They're putting technology in and around us in everything that they can replace with a device or a machine. And by this slow integration into technology, now we're coming into a place where you're not going to be able to determine what's real from what's virtual. And that's where we get the term virtual reality. We're living in a virtual reality world. And this is what the technology is bringing forth. It's putting you into a altered realm of thought, a altered realm of being, to where you're not in this reality, you're in a different realm. And they're not just doing it with the technology, they're doing it with the drugs. More and more states are legalizing marijuana. Pretty much every pharmaceutical medicine has hallucinogens in it, opiates. America, should I say, has been at war in Afghanistan for almost 20 years now. And we know about the poppy fields, America overseeing those fields, and being able to get all of that opium, ship it back to America, and now opium is the base for all of your pharmaceutical ingredients in a drug, so-called drug. So it's these particular things that are causing us to not be able to distinguish reality from fairy tale world. And because this world has become so crazy, everybody's looking for an out into another reality. So here comes these different devices, whether it be drugs, whether it be technology, whether it be entertainment, that people can find as an out to go into a alternate reality. Lots of data collected on people, including you, using smart roads and public transportation systems. So now they have smart roads. Okay, probably a lot more surveillance, probably communication with your phone, through the cell phone towers along the smart roads, listening in on your conversations. And even a lot of these cars now, especially the newer cars, are basically smart cars, where they connect to GPS, the internet. They're actually more a computer than they are a car. In the war on free speech, a sign says, "Everyone else must take my place." Okay, so Julian Assange is the poster child, one of the poster childs for the attack on free speech. We talked, I believe it was the first broadcast we did back, we talked about Alex Jones and Louis Farrakhan and how they were banned from Facebook and what that meant. So there's an attack on free speech right now. I'm seeing people on YouTube saying that channels are getting hit with strikes, this, that, and the third happening. So we're coming into the time to where you're not going to have the ability to have freedom of speech. You're not going to be able to speak your mind on or have an opinion. And that's what the mark of the beast is going to bring. The mark of the beast is going to bring one mind with the beast. Everybody who will be chipped will be part of the Borg or the machine and have one mind operating as a sentinel and as a drone for the beast. Nearly 25% of Americans are using debt to pay for necessities like food. So, what does that say when people have to use debt to pay for food? Like, what position is that person or persons in when they're using debt to pay for food? That's a famine. And this goes back to what I had just said earlier about them making marijuana legal in more and more states. Police to use TSA-style scanners to spy on people in public places. Thriving hemp industry is about to create a jobs boom in the U.S. So now because they're saying everybody wants weed, everybody wants to be high and be in the alternate realm, this is now making way for a place where people can have jobs. So you see how they can easily compromise you. Because imagine working in a marijuana industry to where you're harvesting marijuana or doing whatever it is within that job, and you're now part of the you're part of the whole system when it comes to helping people to get high. You're a cog in the wheel that's allowing people to get high. You have to question, would you work just for the fact that you could have a job for like the marijuana industry, knowing that what it's causing and what it does to people? Warhawks in the U.S. push for a war with Iran, and nobody agrees with them. So we talked about this numerous times and a lot in recent weeks about what they're looking to do in Iran. 1,824 5G small cells installed already in Philadelphia. Telecom industry still has no proof that 5G is safe. Many researchers say it's not. So that's a lot of cell towers. You talk about over 1,800 5G cell towers installed in Philadelphia already. Many sources have explained how 5G will not benefit the public. Corbett report provides another one. It says here, globalists only need one more major event to finish sabotaging the economy. We talked last week about the engineered and manufactured trade war between America and China. So this article is saying one more major event and they're sabotaging of the economy, and the economy is done. Google Earth on steroids. New U.S. Army tech can look inside buildings. The TSA just updated its rules to allow CBD oil on flights. which is cannabis oil. Law enforcement's National Threat Assessment Program predicts if you pose a future threat. This is your, what's the name of that movie? With Tom Cruise, Minority Report. So they're telling you they have programs that they're putting together that they can predict based upon maybe your social media posts, your religious beliefs, maybe the movies you watch, the TV shows you watch, the information you read, the news, etc. They can then take all of that and put it together to say, okay, you possibly could be a threat in the future, or you could possibly become a terrorist in the future based upon criteria here that we deem as being dangerous or a threat. Pre-crime. So imagine that. Imagine being found guilty of something you haven't done but you could possibly do. Those are the times we're moving into. And it's all to come against the elect. They know who the threat is. The threat is the woman, the remnant of the woman who have the faith of Christ and keep the commandments. That's the threat. So all they have to do is say, well, we deem you a threat based upon our pre-crime program, and we're bringing you in. And they're putting forth all the propaganda, all the movies, all the TV shows, all the video games to actually help convince the world that in the event a person gets arrested for a pre-crime, that you will accept the arrest and the judgment, the verdict for that person in the pre-crime that they were possibly going to commit. Okay, so I want to go back over to the chat board, the message board, see what's going on. Also check Blog Talk. Okay, see what everybody has here. Chosen one by the Most High says they were just at the supermarket and noticed the shelves are becoming scarce. Seek Christ at Home says these cell phones are dangerous. It's a good point. Sean Roseman says that's why they don't make hardly any cell phones without removable batteries so that they can keep the phone on the spot 24/7. That's a good point. It used to be a time when cell phones had batteries that could be removed by the user or the owner. But now, the way the cell phones are put together, you basically would have to unscrew and take the whole phone apart to be able to replace the battery. And that is for the reason that if you can't replace the battery, you can't take it out. Therefore, the phone always stays on even when it's turned off. Even when the phone is turned off, it has power, so it's still on to an extent, at least an extent to where they can still use it for surveillance purposes. Yehoshua says, using debt to pay for food shows just how much Babylon has spoiled our people by constantly remaining dependent upon their resolutions. This is true. This is true. And that goes into Revelation 18. When it talks about the delicacies of Babylon. Babylon and her delicacies. The overabundance. That's pretty funny. Lions W says Monsanto probably controls the wheat industry. Who knows? Get your blunts laced with Roundup. A GMO Roundup glyphosate induced marijuana experience. All those chemicals. Ezekiel of Judah says, I think when the EU uses cryptocurrency to go through currency clearinghouse to wash as petrol to purchase oil in Iran during the time of sanctioning will be that major event. Well, Deborah Dunkley, you said when you put the phone in airplane mode, they can't connect. Well, when the phone's in airplane mode, they're not supposed to be able to connect. But how do you know what capability they have? You can't connect, but does that mean that they can't connect? Because your phone still is on. And you would never know what's going on the other end of your phone. So yeah, our phones are two-way devices. So yeah, it may stop the one side, which is your side, from being able to connect. But what about the other side? Let's go to another place. I want to show brothers and sisters another place where I get my news. There's several places, but just, there are some places that come into my mind here. And it's just for y'all so that y'all have access to know where to go when it comes to getting better options when it comes to the news. So this is another place, zerohedge.com. Looks like we had a mass shooting today, 11 killed in shooting at Virginia Beach Municipal Center. And of course, the suspect is always killed. Dead men can't talk. Which, at best case scenario, was a patsy, but more than likely there was no shooter. There was no shooting. It was a drill. Nobody died. And they loved the number 11. So that's another sign, telltale sign. And if it's on CNN, if this makes CNN or CNBC or Fox, then you can chalk it up as propaganda and a psychological operation. Trump administration deploys dozens of DHS agents to Guatemala-Mexico border. It says the U.S. will soon have boots on the ground in Central America. Because again, Zechariah chapter 2 tells us, ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north. So the only way that you can flee from the land of the north is by going south. If you're in the land of the north, you can't go east, you can't go west because you'll still be in the north. You can't go north or you're just going farther north. So the only other option is going south. So knowing that America is the land of the north, even if you wanted to flee east or west, you have oceans on both sides, Atlantic and Pacific. So really the only option to get out of America is to do what? Flee south of the border. So what are they doing along the southern border? They're putting up a border wall in the whole context of, or pretext of, keeping illegal aliens out of America, or terrorists, whatever script that they're telling. And they're sending troops to the border as well to go with the wall. So there's your deterrent against those who may be in America that are looking to flee from the land of the north when the time that the judgment and the plagues hit the land of the north. Okay, now we know that those who are in righteousness, there will be those that will be able to make it through in different ways. Even though these things are being put in place, you will have those that will still be able to find the cracks to get through. Right? You'll have those who maybe are martyrs. But this is the reason why they're putting this in place. Leftist professor who nailed last 9 elections says Trump wins 2020 unless Democrats impeach. So going into this 2020 election, it's going to be insanity. As Trump, at least from what the narrative that they're bringing forth, as he gears up to run again for president, you have those on the other side who are going against his re-election. Impeachment being thrown out is something that needs to happen. Got Lake Charles, Louisiana. We got Lake Charles, Louisiana in the building. Mark Thibodeau. Paula Riley, GOCC NYC. It's good to see a lot of people from all over who are in. Let's go to another website that I haven't been to in a while, but I do go there. endoftheamericandream.com. Life as you have known it will never be the same again. It says this is not normal. There have been more than 500 tornadoes in the U.S. during the last 30 days. 500 tornadoes in 30 days. Those are plagues on a country. You rarely ever hear tornadoes in other countries. They happen, but every time you look up, there are more and more tornadoes in America. And I was just in a conversation with somebody this week about, I think it was a tornado that happened in Ohio. Tornadoes happening in Ohio, a place where tornadoes don't even happen or known to happen in a place like Ohio. So that also goes into when Christ said that there will be earthquakes in diverse places. It's not just earthquakes, but you have things like tornadoes popping up in places where tornadoes are not known to be. The mainstream media has been using the term uncharted territory to describe the unusual tornado outbreaks that have been happening in the middle of the country. But I don't think that truly captures the historic nature of what we are witnessing. It says Tuesday was the 12th day in a row when at least 8 tornadoes were spawned. And that is a new all-time record. So imagine 12 straight days of 8 or more tornadoes. 12 days in a row. All new all-time record. It says community after community, because forecasters are telling us that more powerful storms will roar through the middle of the country on Wednesday. So this was a few days ago. California is, speaking of earthquakes, California is shaken by more than 80 earthquakes, as Chile is hit by the largest quake in 12 years. Okay, so 80 quakes in California, and the largest earthquake in Chile in 12 years. And as you can see, you have the Ring of Fire. An 8-point magnitude earthquake struck Peru on Sunday. There is an increasing amount of buzz that China could invoke the rare earth nuclear option in the trade war. I believe we spoke about this last week. This was part of what this article was more than likely going into. After reading this article about the danger of GMOs, you will probably never want to eat genetically modified food again. That's what a GMO is. A GMO is a genetically modified organism. Something that's been modified. It's not the creation of the Most High God. Something man has created. And you putting that into your body doesn't know what to do with it because it doesn't recognize it. It wasn't built to recognize it, so it sits in your body. Every single day, most Americans eagerly gobble down foods that contain ingredients that have been genetically modified without ever considering the consequences. Right? And this is why people have to be mindful of the stuff they're putting in their bodies. Now, of course, if you're eating whole foods, vegetables, fruits, or whatever the case is, and you don't know that it's not necessarily organic or whatever the case is, non-GMO, you're doing the best you can, but there are a lot of stuff that people are eating that you're just buying and eating, and it's been processed. It's not a whole food. So it's all about making healthier food choices, healthier food decisions, and just eating something that satisfies taste buds. Okay? And that's how the devil gets you. He understands how we are when it comes to our senses, whether it's sight, whether it's what we hear, whether it's what we smell, what we taste, what we feel. So he's going to tap into those senses and highly stimulate them So if you're eating something that highly stimulates your taste buds, you can be eating something that is highly unhealthy for you, but it tastes good. And that's how he gets you. Instead of looking to eat what you know is stuff that you should put in your body, it may not always taste the best, but you're nourishing your soul, and you're not trying to nourish your taste buds. So people have to get to the point to where they understand that, it's not always going to taste good. You don't always eat for taste. Sometimes you have to eat because it's what's good for you. And because our taste buds have been so jacked up through the chemicals, through the GMOs, that things that really should taste good, like fruit, strawberries, apples, stuff like that, now it doesn't really taste that good. It doesn't taste like that candy bar. It doesn't taste like that milkshake. It doesn't really hit my taste buds. But what is it doing to your body? Like you may not be that connected to your body, but it should make you feel like you can tell like it's not really nourishing me. It's kind of making me feel sick. It says most of us simply assume that the federal government would never allow us to eat GMOs if they were not safe. Unfortunately, it appears that the federal government has completely failed us. The material that I'm about to share with you is deeply disturbing, and after reading this article, there is a very good chance that you will never want to eat genetically modified food ever again. But at this point, it's almost impossible to completely avoid GMOs because they are in almost everything. Unless they are specifically designated organic, most corn, soy, canola, and sugar beets grown in America today have been genetically modified. And almost all packaged foods contain ingredients derived from at least one of those sources. Okay. Speaking of famine, floods and drought devastate crops all over the planet. Could a global food crisis be coming? Okay, so for us to know the scriptures, we know what's on the horizon. So this is just insight, or like I said earlier, a shadow of things to come. Trade talks are dead, so U.S. consumers should brace for a long, bitter, painful trade war with China. Okay, let's go back over to the YouTube message board here. Just reading through the comments here, y'all. Levi 144, GOCC, Florida. Shabbat Shalom. And that is true, Tabitha Cartwright. The reason why we do need gardens, so we can grow our own crops, our own fruits and vegetables. So we know not only what we planted, but also understanding that what's going into the soil. Okay, because a lot of times, you have stuff that's being grown in soil that might be contaminated or polluted. We talked about Roundup, we talked about glyphosate. You control the whole process. The more of a process you can control, then the more healthier an option is going to be for you. Which is the reason why they call it processed food. Processed food means there's been some process to bring about that food. Okay, so when it comes to water, you don't want bottled water because it's been processed. You don't know what's been done to the water. Instead, what you do, you buy your own, you look and do research, you get your own water system that has a filter on it. It's going to filter and show results, show lab tests on what is going to filter out of your water. And then you simply run your water through that filter. And now you know a good chance of what you're dealing with in that cup. Okay, that's you controlling the process. Same with crops. Okay, you buy from a trusted source of seeds. You buy a trusted source of soil. Trusted fertilizers and those type of things. And now you know what you're getting whenever you bring forth fruit. Another good thing is to establish good relationship with farmers and know, what the farmer is doing when it comes to the soil, when it comes to the seeds, so that, at least if you're not growing them yourself, you at least know, okay, this particular person or farm is bringing forth this type of product. Okay, so try to control as much of the process as you can. Do the best you can, but there are a lot of times we just make bad choices. We hit up fast food spot and, just need something fast, need something quick, and you're not really getting food. Not all places. Some places are better than others, but it just comes to making better choices. Let's see here. Sean Roseman said Trump to consider deputizing military as a civilian police force. It looks like Trump's looking to make civilians and turn civilians into police. Ezekiel of Judah, dandelions are edible. Now, I'm not sure if you want to just go out and pick the dandelions that are out, just out in the grass, because again, it depends on what chemicals are being sprayed. You want to make sure that it's dandelion. I'd actually buy the dandelion seeds, or the actual, you know exactly what it is, and grow it yourself. And the benefits from eating dandelion is a blood cleanser. So dandelion helps when it comes to your liver. It comes when it comes to getting toxins out of your blood, out of your body, and a lot of times your skin will show when your blood is not clean or your liver's working too hard to keep toxins out. So dandelion will help when it comes to all of that. Right. Dawadas says, Yasharala says, it's been hard for me to grow my veggies due to excess rain and less sun in New Jersey. So that's part of the famine. Sometimes people think famine is just drought. No, too much water is a famine because a plant can't grow in all that water. Like the roots need to be able to breathe. And if they're continuously dealing in water, they're going to die. So yes, that brings forth drought. I mean, not drought, that brings forth famine. Excuse me. No sun. Usually when there's a lot of rain, there's no sun. So how can a plant grow without the sun? Yes, Marcel Kaiser, that is correct. When it comes to getting seeds, you have to be careful where you get your seeds from. You got to do your research. Buy from a reputable source. My Maple Sugar 9 says, I heard that certain mineral stones can block harmful 5G frequencies. Do you know anything about this? I can't say that I'm aware of exactly the stones or the truth to that. I have heard something about, there are certain things that you can do to block out the 5G frequencies and the radiation and all these devices and the frequencies they're putting out. But I don't have that knowledge to be able to say what it would be. Would have to do some research into that. All right, we got Christine Scott, Grand Rapids, Michigan, in the building. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, let's go to the next place I get my news from. And again, if you would like to speak, the Blog Talk line is open, 515-605-9327. You can simply press the number 1. That'll put you in the call queue, and we can take your call. Or if you're already on the line in Blog Talk, you can press 1. Another good place, another good source for news is naturalnews.com. Speaking of health, I know we're talking a lot about health. You have Mike the Health Ranger, who talks a lot about health. I think he even has his own lab where he does lab tests on the food to see what's in the food. Like, is there lead? Is there aluminum? Heavy metals, toxins in the food. He actually takes foods and he takes them to his laboratory. He tests them to see the products that they're selling. Are they, worth consumption? He has his own, I believe, his own health store where he offers products that he backs with his guarantee that they are, free of toxins and free of heavy metals and pollutants. But he also has regular news when it comes to, some of the other news we talk about outside of just health. It says here, tech giants now pushing anti-knowledge to keep humanity dumbed down and trapped in mental prisons. Imagine that. In a time where knowledge shall be increased, that many shall go to and fro, and that knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times. Would it come to any surprise that these tech giants, we know the word giant is Nephilim, I'm just throwing that in there, but that's a whole nother discussion. Tech giants now pushing anti-knowledge. Of course, the devil would want you to be dumb and ignorant and illiterate. Because Christ told us, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. So if you don't have the truth, what are you? What are you in? You're in a prison. You're in captivity. You're a slave. So not only are we living in a time of knowledge, but we're living in a time of anti-knowledge, where they would try to keep the truth and knowledge from you. Which goes back to the whole looking to come after those people who are bringing forth information. People who would be considered forerunners of information, like your Alex Joneses and your Louis Farrakhan's, even though we know that they are both Freemasons, top Freemasons, but understand what they represent. And goes into some of the articles we read earlier about them wanting to keep people in an alternate reality, right? It says the LGBT agenda has now completely destroyed women's sports as biological male wins NCAA Women's Track Championship. Women's rights being obliterated by the left cult. So this is sick in itself, where you have a born man who is so-called transitioned into a female, who can then go and participate in sports, in female sports, and win NCAA track championship. Like, at that point, you know, how can a woman compete when they're competing against a born male or a born man? So this is the society and time we're living in. Speaking of water, are you drinking contaminated water? Millions of Americans poisoned every day by water. Research finds spirulina lowers blood pressure. So for those of you that may have blood pressure, you may want to look into spirulina and the health benefits that it can do for your blood issues. Okay, so as you can see, you come here, you get a lot of information when it comes to not just news and things that are going on in the world, but stuff for your health. 5 effective cough remedies you can make at home. Do-it-yourself health remedies. Do-it-yourself at-home foods or medicines. Using natural stuff in nature and controlling the process. 4 tips for avoiding skin cancer when you're not in the sun. And if you think about it, there's going to come a time where you're going to either have to live on the grid and take the mark of the beast, or you're going to have to live off the grid. So why not go ahead now and find out those different things that you can do when it comes to your health, when it comes to your hygiene, that are just things found every day in nature. That's what it's saying in Revelations chapter 12, when it says the earth shall help the woman. So the earth is there to help us, to give us food, to give us medicines. But we are disconnected from the earth. We put cement over the earth and try to drown the earth out. So we're disconnected from the earth. There are certain bacteria in the soil. So when you're out in the garden and you're working with soil and your hands are going into soil, you're getting certain bacteria that your body needs, good beneficial bacteria. Okay, when you're in artificial situations in front of a computer or a device all day, artificial light, in the office or a building, you're disconnected from the earth. And we were made from the earth. Don't be so quick to throw away papaya seeds. They offer a surprising number of health benefits. And really a lot of different seeds offer a lot of health benefits, because in the seeds you have a lot of different minerals, enzymes, and these type of things, because in the seed is life. And in order for that seed to sprout, it has to have the minerals and the nourishment that it needs to grow. So everything is in that seed that's needed for that sprout to grow it, at least in the beginning stages of its growth. Deadly diet. Study finds high fat, high sugar Western diet increases risk of sepsis, death. Studies reveal conventional cancer treatments can be as dangerous as the disease itself. Okay, so there's a lot of information here on this website. And as you can see, there are similar things that a lot of these websites have as far as news and information, but then there's some different things too. So they all kind of complement each other, but they offer something different as well. Looking at the message board here. Lions W says, get a good EMF meter and see where your levels are at in your home is a good first start. I'm thinking he's speaking about the smart meters, and you can measure the frequencies that's being put out by the smart meter. Marcel Kaiser says, research 5G. Deborah Tavares, I think she was on one of our blog talks. It says she tells how to not be exposed to effects of 5G, smart meters, etc. Ezekiel of Judah says we may have to change our diets. John the Baptist ate grasshoppers, which is a clean insect nonetheless. I've yet to try it. Yeah, that's a whole nother level of eating insects and grasshoppers. Definitely have to get your mind ready and right to make that transition. Let's see, what else do we have? I think I have maybe one more site we can go to. Okay, let's see what we have here. Okay, another place I oftentimes would come to get news is shtfplan.com. It says the next recession will be the last. China puts U.S. soybean farmers on alert, bans import of U.S. grown soybeans. So you know it's bad if China is banning American imports when we know what's coming out of China. And we just talked about the GMO and the soy. So when it gets to the point to where China is banning American crops, how bad is it? It says DARPA can exterminate humanity. You could feasibly wipe out the human race. Okay, DARPA is a defense research. I can't remember the exact word for each letter. The Defense Research Project Agency. Okay, it's saying here in this article they have the possibility to wipe out the whole human race. Christ said if the days weren't shortened, no flesh would survive. High radiation levels found in clams near U.S. radioactive waste dump site. So again, it's showing you that this radiation, these radioactive waste dump that comes from nuclear power plants, you can't contain the poison. Okay, there's a dump. Near to the dump, you have clams, and they are highly irradiated, full of radiation. Not that we should be eating clams, but the clams understand they cleanse the earth. So if the clams are all radiated and dead, what's going to cleanse the earth? The trade war is failing. U.S. trade deficit widened again in April. Basically, that the U.S. is losing in the trade war, and they will lose. It's by design. It'll bring forth the collapse and the mark of the beast. Forecasters say, prepare for a brutal Atlantic hurricane season, even though the forecast is near normal. Okay, as we're going now into June, we're going into hurricane month. So now that's the next thing we must watch for, is the hurricanes that are now, that could possibly potentially hit the Americas, and the damage that could cause to homes and to the economy. Millions lose power in Ohio and Indiana after tornado. It looks like a war zone. Crop catastrophe in the Midwest. Latest USDA crop progress report indicates that a nightmare scenario is upon us, going into the famine. Speaking about the famine. Unmistakable whiff of recession. The time to prepare is now. Everything is under scrutiny. 38,000 layoffs across auto industry may only be the beginning. How to prepare your home quarantine for a pandemic. UN arms chief says nuclear war is closer than ever since World War II. Okay, so again, there's a lot of news out there. Nothing definitely I would consider to be pressing or urgent news this week. Just the normal news that we understand and know. Okay, I'm looking at the blog talk here. I'm going to go over to the 701 area code, see if the sister would like to speak here. She's ready. All right, Shabbat Shalom, sister, you're on the air.
Shalom. Thanks for taking my call. I was listening where I could because I'm kind of like transition to the stuff for Sabbath, stuff up. And can you imagine family in the family that your home looks like what you described, or the cabinets, same thing, and the effect of vaccination, being right in the household, I mean, I don't know much, but I don't think anybody could really understand that unless, somebody else had the same thing going on in the family. The atrocities that are happening outside my family, I just really don't consider them, but it's just like, I'm going to let them say. I mean, to the point where I understand, what's their choice. But in my power, I'm going to do all I can, give you word, follow the law, statutes, and commandments, act of forgiveness, all that, but in the process, to see your home, be like some stuff that you just mentioned, it was like, only but the most I got, only but the most I got, to actually see him work through it, to actually be able to see the demons in your family members, only but the most I got, So, it would be nice. I mean, I've heard all kinds of topics, but the effects, how, I mean, I'm sure, somebody out there, and I don't know, I'm learning, I'm sure somebody out there, has defeated those demons, that come in through, well, your family member did that, take the pill, and then after the pill, I mean, within 2 or 3 months, your family members, in and out of jail, and, the vicious cycle continues because they see what's going on with it, they want to get off it, and like, you get off it, get worse. I'm sure somebody out there in the family has gone through it, come off victoriously, and we need to talk about that, because I need to, I mean, Al-Anon, these groups they have right here, I mean, come on, they're not talking about anything real. I mean, these are just living with women and lesbians and women that think they're men enough. It's not going to work, only through, I think, only through conversation with family, and, I'm not hooked up with a body yet. I'm about 4 hours away from one, but I think through conversation with family, fast and praying, I mean, I did ABC, I chased thousands, I need my help to chase 10,000. And I know it's going to come to that, but I would really love to hear, some testimonies of people that caught up in it, and made it out victoriously, without winding up back in jail, almost killing your family members. Some family members have been lost by it. We need to talk about it, I mean, I'm not, I'm just being real. I mean, it's real out here. Oh, my. It's real out here. So, Shalom, thanks for taking my call. And, yeah. Only with God.
Well, real quick before you go, because I know you said, a great deal there. I want to get understanding specifically what you were saying that, you were referring to. I was trying to...
Oh, my goodness. Well, you know what? My bus just arrived, and I have to get on that. I don't know how long it's going to be on tonight, or if I need to come another, we need to talk about another time, but let's see. Okay, you know what? They're not boarding yet. Okay, so what is it you want to know real quick that I can...
I was just curious to what exactly specifically you were referring to, because I was trying to extrapolate the specific point of what, I know you mentioned appeal and jail, so I'm trying to figure out exactly what you were referring to specifically so I can understand.
Okay, like I said, you mentioned a lot of stuff, and I've been in and out because of conversations in my transition right now, but bottom line, I guess, saying without saying, is the effects of the mental health pills and stuff on your family. I mean, from when they were smaller up until now,
Okay.
I really, don't want to go into specifics because I'm just able to be able to talk after an episode I just came out of. I mean, how, I don't know. Maybe the family know they don't, but you want to sing, my favorite. Well, I want to sing my favorite song to Zion, and I can't even muster up enough strength to even sing that, or to sing some of the songs that the Most High had given me, from the Bible. The Miriam song, singing to the Lord, for He hath triumphed gloriously. I wasn't able to do that, for a couple of days. And, now I'm being able to talk and, I only feel it, being healed and delivered through family, so, yeah.
Okay, I understand.
But,
I understand now what you're saying, but let me ask you, is this what you're speaking about is in reference to yourself or someone else?
In reference to, like I said, I'm a mom. The Most High gave me that heart. Elder Carr said, give the father one heart, don't give the mother another heart. So I don't like it, but I have to deal with it. I don't think he actually said worrying, but caring. And the husband, to be Israelite. Let's do this thing together, right? That didn't happen. So I'm the one that, that lady that touched him or his garment, who's made me whole. What he's telling me, he's fishtailing, telling me let go, it's going to be all right. But no, I'm the one that, when you get a call that your son's standing in an abandoned building, come home. I'm the one that gets the call that, your son's walking down the middle of a busy highway, come home, And when they get home, I pray, I fast, I see the demons in them. Some of them, kind of recouped from it, but, hasn't turned to the truth, that we're Jews and, following it and really practicing. I've seen some, but I'm talking victorious all the way, without having the drugs, which he's not on that from, pharmacy stuff now, but, he does self-medicate in other ways that, he feels he can't do without, and it's like, I know you can because, but it's choice. It's a choice. So yeah, I'm the one in the mother hen that's trying to keep all the babes under her wing. I mean, to a certain point, when it starts, and I can come home and I see that, other stuff is happening, then, it's either they leave or, they have to be taken out the other way, which would be nice if GOCC was set up where, instead of going to today, modern day places that, they can come to a GOCC place, I've seen some big dudes, they can put them in that room, okay, if you want to be off this medicine, let's do it this way, and if you want to act up on me, not where I'm going to go and make things, or you're going to go to a place that's going to make things worse, because these, man, listen, I could tell you some stories. They get behind the bars. I mean, we need to talk about this, I'm out here by myself, I'm way, like I said, I'm 4 hours away. And I'm working on hopefully being able to go here, starting out however Most High leads. I'm not even going to say however he leads. He has to provide, me a way to get over to, the gathering that I'm closest to.
So you're saying you're not really close to a church at the moment. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's 4 hours away from where I live. I mean, I listen to, I'm in the academy. I listen to, oh my gosh, I don't know when Elder Ricard did. It started out with one street preaching. I don't know if it was in the UK, and then Elder Ricard jumped on there, and I was like, oh my goodness, I was like, I got to be around the family, Things have been so bad here, I just feel persecuted where I am, and I'm ready to move to another city, and that's something that I wanted to ask. Oh Lord, thank the blessed Lord. When you feel persecuted, I mean, to the point where everywhere you turn or you go in the city that you've lived in for a while, is that the same thing as fleeing to another city, or does that happen under other circumstances? I don't know. If it gets too loud, then I'll have to just hang up because I can stand here. There's quite a few people in line. Yeah, so that was the last question.
Okay. Well, let me do this because I know you're about to deal back with the bus situation. So I'll speak to what you're saying, and while I put you back into the queue, and the water for calling in and supporting the show. Okay. I was saying I was going to put you back in the queue.
Say the last part again, 5 minutes before? Yeah.
Because I know you're about to get back on the bus, so I'll answer your question or speak to what you were saying while you're in the queue, all right?
Okay, all right. Okay, very good. But, do I have to put you here? You're going to read me out because it's getting kind of loud.
Yeah, I'm about to put you
Do I
back
have to
in
push
the
one again?
I'm going to put you back in the queue now. You'll be fine.
Okay. All right, very good. Shalom. Thanks, family.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, and thanks for calling in. So just to kind of speak to a little bit about what you're saying, you know, not being close to a body definitely is key because, you know, you want to be able to come to a place where you can physically be amongst the brothers and sisters in the church, the leadership who are there that can, you know, give you counsel and, you know, pray with you and those type of things. Very, very important. I would still look to link into whatever the closest body is to you, 4 hours away. At least try to establish the best relationship you can with the leadership, whether it's an elder or a bishop or a deacon or officers, just so that they're aware of who you are. You never know when you might be able to come for whatever reason. You might be in the city or neighborhood, come to the church there, but outside of that, you know, within your own personal space, I understand, you know, you're saying you're by yourself, you're dealing with all these situations, all these scenarios. You know, it's hard for a single person by themselves in this. When I say single, I mean when you're just the only person that knows what you know and believes what you believe. It's not an easy situation. It was never meant or intended for us to be separated or scattered from the flock, but through our downfall and the curses that we are going through as a people, this is part of our curse. So what we are able to do for you, sisters, we're able to pray for you, keep you in prayer. At the same time, you must also do the things that keep you in a place of, you know, righteousness, doing the things that you need to do when it comes to studying, listen to the lessons, staying connected into the spirit of truth, the best way that you can. Your own personal time, the praying, the fastings, you know, all of those things. It's just a bigger challenge for you, being that you're by yourself and everybody else around you is not in this walk. And then everything else that you're having to deal with, you know, you have to be really strong to overcome your situation and scenario. You pray to the Most High for your situation to change, also for you to be in a place to where you can be close to a body to come and gather, all of those things. So that's the best answer I can get for what I gain from what I'm gaining from what you said, because again, you know, it was a lot was said, so I'm trying to gain everything and analyze and decipher everything that was being said. But that's a beginning and starting place. So you got to just continue to stay tuned in to all the different ways that you have at your disposal to be able to stay connected, and you have to stay focused and disciplined in that you don't have much space to operate outside of that because of your situation and your circumstances. Okay, so I hope that answers your question when it comes to what you are speaking about. Okay, now kind of coming to the end of this broadcast, so brothers and sisters, if you have any questions, comments, anything else you'd like to say or share, we're coming to the end here. We still have the guest call-in number open, 515-605-9327 on Blog Talk. If you'd like to speak, press the number 1. I'll also go back here through the message board, but we've been going on 2 hours now. About the time I said we kind of be wrapping it up tonight. Aminagad says, gut health is what keeps our bodies functioning properly. I brew my own kombucha. It's full of living probiotics. The store-bought is no longer raw. Yes, all disease starts and ends in the colon. You don't have a healthy colon, it doesn't matter what else is going on with your body. You would think is healthy, your liver, your kidneys. If your colon's not healthy, nothing else in your body is going to be healthy. So it's important to have a healthy colon. And that comes with diet, what you're eating. It comes with doing cleanses, because sometimes the food we eat has parasites and these type of things going on with it. So we get to do cleanses and the things that's necessary to keep our colon clean. From the colon, you have the liver as the second most important body part. So 60% of the body's immune system will be found in your colon. So if you don't have a healthy colon, if you're not regular and all these things, then you're going to have some issues health-wise, whether you can feel it, tell it, see it, or not. It's there brewing in your colon. Well, I'm not saying I'm passing on the grasshoppers at this timelines, but right now, I'm just saying that's a transition thing to transition over to eating grasshoppers, or at least trying them out. I'm not saying one of these days that won't be there, but right now, just trying to continue to get my diet good when it comes to whole foods and things like that. But there will come a time where it might be the only option we have. Ken G said, get familiar with edible wild plants, aka weeds. They are nutritious as well as medicinal, often free and require minimum work to grow. Purslane, dandelion, chickweed, etc. Yeah, there will come a time where it would be good to know what's what as we're living off grid, to know, this right here does this, this over here does that, and being familiar with weeds or wild plants. Diane Woods, is there a dietitian in the body? You can go to gatheringofchrist.org and check on the GOC network to see if there's anybody offering those services right now. I'm not sure. I know we've had people in the past. I know Truman Burst, he does more so with the herbs, but I'm sure he knows a good deal when it comes to dieting as well. All right, so it looks like we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show for this evening. So again, appreciate brothers and sisters for chiming in tonight. And hopefully, Most High willing, next week will be a less hectic week. We can go ahead and prepare, put some information together, possibly going into part 2 of what is 5G and the history of the telecommunications industry. That is, unless major news breaks out between now and then that we want to cover. Again, bless you all. Have a blessed Sabbath. Enjoy your week next week. Until next time, signing out. Friday Night Sabbath, coming out of Babylon, here for the Gathering of Christ Church. See you brothers and sisters soon. Shalom.